All right. I think we're going to go ahead and get started, and then if Jason gets in, go ahead and obviously get him in as an organizer, and we'll be good to go. Thank you, everyone, for joining our webinar today. My name is Noshirvani. I'm the executive chairman of AltaDX Group. I'm going to turn it over to Ron Benamor to sort of kick us off and get us started on this webinar.
Thank you so much, Al. I appreciate the time, and I appreciate all the folks joining this webinar. It's great to see so many familiar and new names. So I'm Ron Benamor. As Al introduced, I'm the Director of Growth and Strategy here at AltaDX. The topic for today is best practices around AI and really how to implement AI successfully in Q3. We have four esteemed colleagues on this call today. Al, our chairman and co-founder of AltaDX, Fernando, the Chief Information Officer at the Bay Clubs, Harshil Shah, who's our VP of Product and Delivery at AltaDX, and we're hoping Jason Brazil from Burn Bootcamp joins here shortly. So Al, I'll hand it off back to you. We can kick things off, and I'll be on the sidelines here answering any questions and surfacing those questions to some of the panelists. So I would encourage folks to please ask as many questions as you can. Thank you.
Ron, thank you. All right, well, before we get started, I'm just going to take a second and give both Harshil and Fernando the opportunity to introduce themselves, talk a little bit about their companies so that we all understand sort of the different types of businesses, obviously, that they represent. And hopefully Jason will be able to join us. Fernando, I'll start with you, a little bit about yourself and about the Bay Club and what your mission and business process are like.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Fernando. I'm the CIO of the Bay Club. We are in the sports, outdoor recreation, and active lifestyle industry. I've been a software developer for 30 plus years, stop counting by now. And about 20 of those years I've been in the intersection of the fitness and tech industries. I've been at the Bay Club for around 13 years now. And before that, I was with TRX, so on the equipment side for another 7 years. And I do enjoy creating things from scratch, creating software development teams from scratch, creating products from scratch. And I'm in the camp that is very excited about AI instead of scared. So.
Thank you, Fernando. Harshil, you want to go next?
Yep, thanks, Fernando. Hey everyone, Harshil here, the VP of Product and Delivery at AltaDX. I take care of all our services projects that we have, chip in with the consulting projects, and largely oversee the OMAP platform that we have, which is in the purpose-built AI platform that we have for the fitness industry. As you all know, AltaDX, they formed with the merger of DX Factor and the Alta Group. So before AltaDX, I have been DX Factor since day one. So I've been understanding and learning the fitness industry since a long time, since over a decade now.
Awesome. Thank you, Harshil. Let's just jump into it. And as I mentioned earlier, Jason Brazil, who's the VP of Technology at Burn Bootcamp, is having some technical issues. So hopefully he'll join. But I think we're going to get a lot of good information around AI. It's certainly a conversation that I've had with almost every single operator that we work with, whether it's obviously selling the OMAP platform or speaking to operators like Fernando and others about purchasing versus building, buying, et cetera. So Fernando, I want to start with you. You run a technology practice across a business that, as you mentioned, is a hospitality business. It's an outdoor lifestyle business. And that is really the product, the hospitality component. Can you talk a little bit about where you've implemented AI? And really, this is among a sort of a luxury brand cohort of members, and where you've seen successes. In other words, I think people are sensitive to cheapening the membership experience or the customer experience if they use AI. Can you talk about where you've used it and where that may be true versus not?
Sure. So currently, where we are live and we're seeing our best results are doing our sales process, our sales funnels. So most people nowadays get all their information from the web anyways, or online. So once they exhaust all that they can get online, and they need to talk to someone about details. That's where we implemented an AI agent that can help them. There is that the agent, it's not only able to answer questions, more specific questions about membership types, price, basically anything that is on our knowledge base. But what we do is we can then get this prospect member from that conversation straight into our online sales portal with all that data pre-filled. And what we noticed is that it does make a difference. Like, it's a statistically relevant difference in conversions between just sending someone to, okay, just go online and purchase our membership, to, okay, I heard you, and here is everything that you told me. Everything is ready to go. Now, you just need to go and complete the final steps. So that's live right now. It's working for us. It definitely have impact on sales. And regarding cheapening the experience, I don't know anything specific, but I think the one thing that everybody would need to be very careful there is knowing when to do a send-off from an AI agent to a human. I think where people really feel that cheap experience is when they don't want an AI agent or a chat bot. They want to talk to someone. And if they made that decision, the fastest that you can respect that decision, the better it is. So I don't think people get upset that they start with AI or they start with a bot. But once they say, I want to talk to a person, don't argue. Let them talk to a person. Don't do like United Airlines or Comcast, that between you deciding that you need to talk to a human and actually talking to a human, right? You have that 5-minute prompt. Yeah, that destroys everything. And especially if you're talking during the sales process, right? Because they're not your customers yet. You don't want to add that friction to it. So that would cheapen the experience. That's what we have right now. And yeah, we have a lot of plans for the future. We can, I guess, discuss later.
That's great.
Different ways of using AI for the experience. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I do have one follow-on question. I want to go to Harshil. And Jason, welcome. I know you had some technical issues. It's probably on us. Sorry about that. I'm going to let you introduce yourself in a second. I do have a follow-up question for you, Fernando. You mentioned that you're doing this. You guys have a pretty complicated, from a business process perspective, it's complicated. In practice, it works really well with this thing that you call your shared membership model. Has AI been able to simplify that? There's a lot of back and forth for consumers to understand, like, what am I signing for? Is that where you've seen AI help?
Yes, that's part of it. That's when they go from, some people understand right away on the website, right? We do have the regular channel, but some people need that extra hand handling, and that's where AI does help. The best would be humans, but there's friction, right? Not a lot of people like to do a phone call, or even now, it's funny, there is a difference. Even if your human agent is texting a member or a prospect, there is a difference between knowing that you have a live human on one side, or you're just talking to an AI. And that's not a bad thing. Some people are just averse to having to talk to a salesperson in whatever form, right? Text or voice or whatever form that is. So, yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. All right, I appreciate that. Jason, before I go to Harshil, I have some, I think you have some interesting metrics that you're gonna share with us, Harshil. I do want to take a second to have Jason Brazil introduce himself and talk a little bit about Burn Bootcamp. Thank you for trying hard to get on it. We appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. It joined me as a participant, so I'm finally in as a host, so that's good. I'm Jason Brazil, JB from Burn Boot Camp. We have about 450 gyms across the U.S., big franchise organization, and we're heavily invested in AI and the things that it's going to do to change our business, especially as we talk about the member experience, but also the staff experience. And we've been doing a lot of great work with the AltaDX team on everything from Burn GPT to agentic to building out all the things we're going to do in the future.
Herschel, and I appreciate that shout out. Thank you, Jason. Herschel, let's go back to rewind the clock back to what Fernando was saying, and he's seen positive results in sales. Yesterday, you shared with me some positive results that you've seen. I know you can't name the customer specifically, but one of the things we've always struggled with in this industry when it comes to join online, what Fernando was talking about, where he's seeing results, is cart drop off. Can you talk a little bit about some of the use cases that you've been able to implement with our sales agent and the results that you've seen? And by the way, this is not specific to what AltaDX does. There's a lot of great companies. Fernando is not a customer yet. And so he's managed to build his agents with third parties or internally. So we're talking about AI specifically here, not necessarily our OMAP micro agent platform. But go ahead, Herschel. Talk to us a little bit about some of the success you've seen.
Absolutely. I'll take two very different kinds of businesses and how they've seen. So one is like a national chain. They are across United States, North America, and one of the sole goal for them was to get someone in the club. They don't want them to convert. They don't want AI to convert. Just get them into the club, and my staff will do the rest. And what we've seen is people are very receptive. We've seen the conversations. As soon as someone fills out a form, they respond within a minute. And we've seen a 15% uptake in booking rates, where as soon as someone fills out a form, within 15% of them are booking in and showing up for a tour, and which is massive. It's moving the needle without having the sales team actually trying to get them into the club. So that's big.
To clarify, in this case, they just want the people to come in the club. So going back to does this cheapen the experience or not, to Fernando's point, this is a path to have a conversation with a live human being and get a tour.
Correct.
Okay, so just want to clarify that. Go ahead.
Yes. And what it does is, to Fernando's point, it gets an understanding of what the member wants and then has that information ready for the sales team, so that when they're about to talk to that person, they know exactly how to tailor that conversation to the person. And taking a different step, another customer, their focus is like, we don't believe in this. I just want conversions. We just want take my abandoned carts and work them. What we've seen is within the last month and a half, every week we are seeing conversions of up to $7,000 of lifetime value of members, and which is massive for them. They're like, I am not looking for you to convert 10%, 15%. I already have a good conversion rate. I want you to add top up couple percent on top of that, which I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. And that in itself is playing really well for them.
That's great. I appreciate that. All right, that's awesome. Jason, I want to go to you. You said something when you introduced yourself that I found interesting. You talked about sort of AI for staff productivity as well as for member sort of experience, et cetera. I think naturally the conversation in fitness always seems to go down two paths. And we talked a lot about sales, which is one of them. And then the other is, can I use AI for coaching and personal training, exercise prescription, et cetera. And, from there, the conversation sort of unravels. And so I do think what you said is really important, which is AI is not necessarily just about member-facing technology. There's also a lot of use cases where you can implement it back of the house, behind the scenes. Staff turnover in our industry is among the worst in retail. People don't come work front desks of studios and gyms often as careers. And so is it your opinion that AI can fix that, or are we just sort of papering over a staffing model that is fundamentally broken for other business reasons? And can you talk specifically about successes that you've seen there? Oh, you're on mute.
Fixing the attrition problem is not necessarily what we're going to do as far as staff turnover. Like you said, that's the nature of some of these roles. But by giving them a better experience than they maybe get in another brand, we can start to make their jobs more effective and more easy, right? I mean, that's really the key. The first project that we did together was building out. I know everybody's got this same problem. Every person on this webinar has a SharePoint site and FranConnect and a digital asset management solution and data in 7 different places. And every one of those solutions that you've purchased from somebody else has a crappy search engine. And so you're sending your people to place after place after place. That was the first thing that the LLMs, that AI truly, wowed everyone in, is search. That's why Gemini led the way for a little while, because we could really change search. So by connecting all of these webhooks and APIs together to say, hey, this is the most important operations manual. This is the most important assets for social media. This is where franchise partners, front desk associates, even connecting it to your help desk platform with all of your knowledge articles, and allowing that to be one central source for finding information. That became Burn GPT for us. The ability for them to just ask a question. The greatest story I had was a franchise partner said their operations manager was out on pregnancy and came back, and she just asked the LLM, give me everything that I needed to catch up on for the last 6 months. And they came back and gave her all the webinars, all the updates. It fed that information. It was always the correct information. You have to do a really good job of managing your data and cleansing your data. Harshil and I are constantly cleansing the data to ensure that it's trained properly. But that's a way of enabling and empowering your front desk associates. Many of these people are moms that are trading hours a week for a membership. And we need to make it so that the data becomes actionable for them. What does speed to lead mean to a mom or to a student or to an intern? It doesn't mean anything. How do you make it so that they can be most effective in their shift by taking all of that data and everything that the ops manager knows and giving them the next 5 moves that they need to make?
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. So should we view Burn GPT then as sort of your the Burn Boot Camp large or small language model? Is that the way to view it?
Yeah, exactly. It's the walled garden, right? It's instead of giving it access to everything, we're taking the great models that are out there. We're able to move and manipulate, because we don't know if ChatGPT is going to win. Is OpenAI going to win? Is Anthropic going to win? We need the flexibility. OMAP does provide us that flexibility to build an agent, connect it to just the data that makes sense. That's one of the biggest problems I struggle with, is now I've got all these franchise partners and ops managers and front desk associates out there using ChatGPT. They have full access to Claude and ChatGPT. They're building non-compliant, non-standard, wrong answers. We have to give a walled garden of information that says, this is our operations manual. This is how Burn speaks. We don't use the word class. We use the word only camp. And we speak in trainers and speak in that way. And we make the data actionable for them in our tone of voice to our members and empower those personal interactions in a way that we never were able to before.
Makes a lot of sense. Fernando, I'm going to come with you and stay on this topic. I mean, one of your strategies at Bay Club is to grow by acquisition. You've done a lot of acquisitions all over the country, or I should say on the West Coast primarily. And that comes with sort of some interesting challenges, because when you do an acquisition, you have a very unique culture, which I know your CEO, Matthew Stevens, I'm on the board of the HFA with him, and I know he drives culture down everyone's throat constantly. But when you go out and buy someone with different staff and different cultures, have you thought about how AI can unify the staff experience and sort of, get people to drink the Bay Club Kool-Aid? Is there a use case there?
There's definitely a use case, and we're figuring out how to execute. I mean, we have many different ideas, but I think one that is I personally think it's very exciting. But before we go to that, just to compliment on Jason, we have a flavor of that in terms of us corporate providing services to our internal associates and employees. We are augmenting our help desk for HR, legal, IT with AI agents to be that first line of defense, right? So if someone sends a ticket to any of our corporate departments, that we do have, fast response time, anytime, 24/7 AI agents that can then escalate to the second tier if the AI agent can't take care of it. Regarding specifically culture and acquisitions and bringing people in, like I said, we do have a strong culture of training. We just created a new training academy. We do have many different training curriculums that we have throughout the year for associates, not only what we call our base business, but our acquisitions. Where I think AI will eventually help a lot is how to solve the problem of embedding that culture into someone that is just getting into the system. And the way where I think the best way we think we can do it is by reversing what we normally do with AI, which is now create an AI member and let the new associate interact with that fake AI member. And that can be a phone call, it could be a video call, right? We're not just talking text. Create the member, that AI member / agent that has all that training into what it means to be the Bay Club, what's our culture, what's our processes, all those things. And let those employees interact with that agent, and let that agent then grade that interaction in terms of how compliant or how in sync you are as an employee with what I as a member would expect from a Bay Club experience. Now we don't have that yet, but I think that's a very interesting way that it scales also, right? Because the training programs are great and they are in person, but they are limited, right? You can have 100, 200 people at a time. And depending on how fast you're expanding and how many employees you're bringing on board every month, you need to have something that would scale. And AI could be a great tool to help us with that.
I see the light bulbs going off in Herschel's head right now. He sees a product there for sure. I love that's a big take. By the way, that's a big takeaway for me. I had never thought about that. What a really interesting use case to be able to train people effectively to how to speak to members, the Bay Club, the Bay Club process, the Bay Club tools. I love that. That's fantastic. Herschel, with that. And by the way, I'll just say this out loud. We've got a chat here, and Ron Benamor, my colleague at AltaDX, if you have any questions, by all means, put them in the chat, and I'll make sure that Ron will distribute them to the appropriate person on the webinar. So we talked about some really interesting use cases that you guys have successfully implemented. We talked about some, processes that are sort of completely new. Thank you, Fernando. Herschel, I want to go to you because you sit on calls with guys like myself and Ron, and I'm curious, what's the single sort of most oversold claim when you talk to people about what AI can do and what the promise is? And I know that this is moving at 1,000,000 miles a minute, and so things are changing very, very rapidly. What's your experience there, and what have you heard?
I think what I've heard a lot, or what customers have said, what they've heard from others, is one thing is the acquisition, where they really want to bring the top of the funnel, but at the bottom of the funnel, to block that leakage, it's predicting who's going to cancel. It's something which is oversold over years, and I still don't think that's predicting someone can churn. Is the data can tell you only so much. At the end of the day, it's the conversation with the member at that point in time. What are they feeling? Why do they want to cancel? What's going to make them stay? That is the key. So it's simplifying that process rather than trying. Data is great, don't get me wrong, I live in data every day, but just saying that, okay, these are the people who are likely to churn, this is what we can do, it's very archaic, and you need to add a new flair. You need to have a conversation with the member. And how do you scale this? And that's with AI, to understand what a member needs, why they're looking to cancel. Because oftentimes, even when members try to cancel, they don't want to talk to people. So they will select the most obnoxious reasons. They'll be like, okay, I'm moving away. So no one will talk to me. They'll just let me go. So it's understanding the psyche of the members, why you can keep them. And we are seeing by just simplifying the cancellation process, ability to retain, like we've seen over the last 2 years that we've had click to save product across dozens of locations, I think 300 plus locations. We've seen a 70% of save rate of everyone who's taken an offer, they still remain to be members, and which is massive. It's flipping on how you see retention.
To be clear, Click to Save is a system where a person goes in. It was originally developed for the click to cancel rules that were coming out of the FTC, and you've now sort of, a la Netflix, Hulu, all of these subscription businesses, you've created a process by which you can try and provide offers to members to get them to stay, including just freezing their membership versus canceling. Is that right?
Correct. And it would be strange, but freezing is the top offers people take. It's just at that point in time, there's something that they want to temporarily pause. And another nugget of data that would love to give you is a good chunk of this happens overnight. It happens overnight when you're simplifying the process and you're able to save 15% of the people there.
That's interesting. That's a really good data point. Okay.
Can I answer
Jason.
that?
Absolutely. Fernando and then
sorry.
Jason. No, it's okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Fernando. You go first, Fernando.
Because one of the things that we're doing, so first, right, AI is the hot topic, and a lot of people just associate AI with LLMs, right, and in chat and language, but that's a subset of the bigger picture. And when we're talking about attrition and saves, one of the things that we're doing, right, and part of our multi-year initiative that started a few years ago on creating a data warehouse, getting all the data points, understanding our members from all angles, right? From check-ins, from their core bookings, PT sessions, restaurant orders, spa, right? We have a lot of data that we can use. And what we're doing now, after years of collecting that data, is trying to identify the members that are about to churn before they get to that step where they are trying to cancel and you're trying to save. So we're trying to go even one step back and say, okay, those are our in danger population. Now let's see what we can do to save them, and then feed it back, right? Part of the machine learning, see which actions created a save, which actions didn't work, get that back into the feedback loop, refine the models, and continue to work on that. So that's one of the things that we are working right now, and we have a team working on those models and refining them, and no data to share with the big group yet, but we're very excited about it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I want to double click on that a little bit. Yeah, because it's, attrition is a huge problem. Al, you always say it in the industry. It's something that we just accept. But do we have to? I heard this fantastic theory from an industry leader when I first came into the industry called the red hat theory. What if you knew someone was walking into your gym for the last time because they were wearing a red hat? And I've been preaching that solution for a long time right now for the last 2 years. And we finally developed it. We rolled it out to 400 gyms just last month. It is taking not only the data that we have as first party interactions, and for anybody who's that first party interactions, every interaction with the member with my brand, but also third party interactions, your customer data platform. When we always laugh and say that TikTok's listening to us every time it says something, it is. And that's one of the biggest things that in retail, we had all of this information in these large multi-million-dollar systems that process data. They were market expert solutions that told you more about your members. I came from grocery and retail. And if you think about every bonus card, every buy 10, get one free, that's all data that they're using to track. And then they're buying Experian data, and they're buying everything from everyone else to make this holistic picture of a member or a customer. And that's what we're doing now. There are partners like V in the industry that are right now that have that third party data that can now leverage it. And AI becomes the data platform, the understanding of making that data actionable into Maybe Al parked in a competitor parking lot for 2 hours. Maybe Harshil is browsing for Peloton online. Maybe, and they're still actively in my gym. But we identified 8,000 additional at-risk members over and above what MindBody told me was at risk just in the first week of implementation. And that is 8,000 red hats that, to Harshil's great point, my teams can interact with. The next time they come into the gym, my BA knows they get to love on them. They get to express the community. They get to understand the value of burn again. And what we're going to do now for the rest of the year is track how many members did we save before they even got to click to cancel. And that's the proactive attrition that we have to do as an industry.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You mentioned the fact that you worked in retail, you worked in large restaurant, franchise, national chains. Just anecdotally, what is this industry getting wrong or right, maybe, when it comes to AI that other industries sort of learned the hard way?
I think it's, there's probably the biggest ones is that there's not a single solution. There is no silver bullet. AI is not a solution. AI is a strategy that starts with a data strategy and becomes an overarching AI strategy of where I'm doing it. We're doing AI projects in attrition. We're doing AI projects in LLM and learning, kind of the QA, the notebook LM type solution that we've built. Yes, absolutely. We're doing AI in creative. I have 450 gyms that are actively creating UGC, and I need to be able to collect that, combine that, turn it into new assets that can become the next social media platform. The things that were working well, we're using it in data to process large amounts of data and create, we used to talk about revenue and members and compliance and leads and attrition and all of these numbers that I present on these business intelligence dashboards. I believe fundamentally the future of AI is taking all of that stuff we used to put in thousands of cards and dashboards and Tableau and burn and spreadsheets and everything else for our franchise partners, and making that a single set of executable things that they can do. What are your actions you take on the data? So how do I take all those things that I used to train them on, to make FBCs go and train franchise partners who are gym runners on how to be better business owners? AI can take all of that and make it work. And that's the big things that I think we're missing, right? Is how are we taking our data strategy that has already existed everywhere else? I said this on stage at ATN, and it's kind of the biggest point that I want to make to people. If your data strategy is your point of sale and your member management system, then you don't have an AI strategy. You need to go ask your vendor what their AI strategy is, because owning your own data, your one version of the truth, having that's where your AI strategy starts, is with your data strategy.
That's really interesting. And I want to, because you guys, Europe, as you mentioned, you're a MindBody customer across your 400 plus partner franchises. Fernando, you guys built your own software, and you sort of led with that when you were introducing yourselves. I sort of have this back and forth conversation with myself as to whether or not this is something that someone should own and build themselves, because look, software development is heading towards commodity stage at this point. So this is a question that I didn't send in our prep, so I want to give you guys a second to think about it. Build versus buy, and why? Okay, that's the question. Before we do that, I know Ron, you said you had a question that came in. You want to call that out?
Yeah, I'll surface this to you, Jason. This came from Steve Grove. So he said, a Burn GPT sounds like it may have been built with Google's Notebook LM. Is that what you used? Really interesting concept. That was
not what we used, not the platform we used, but very similar. That's where the methodology came from. We actually are building it with OMAP. So big shout out for all the work that Harshil does, because it allows me to manage those API connections and move between models. That was really, I intend to be model agnostic. We don't know what we don't know. For everyone, who didn't have an open claw before February, we can't say who's going to win. It might be DeepSeek, right? We may be working with our Chinese partners soon. So, especially as we branch out internationally, that's the type of things we've got to make sure. One model is not the answer. And every person who brings me a solution, it's 12% of a solution without my data. So we've got to make sure we do that.
All right, so I'm going to go back to the question. Thank you, Jason. I'm going to go back to the question I asked. I'm actually going to start with Harshil, because Harshil, you have built custom, like Burn GPT was essentially customized for the folks at Burn Bootcamp, and then you've built the OMAP product. And to be clear, Jason uses both. He's built custom products with you, and he's also purchased product from you. When is it right to build something on your own, or build something for yourself with an outsourced team, however you approach it, versus buying something off the shelf? And then Fernando, I'm going to come to you with that question next, but go ahead, Harshil.
I think you go to build something when you know you're going to use the data that's going to start coming out of it. It's purpose built on how you're going to look at long term, just not what you're going to do right now with it, but how it's going to evolve and impact your business decisions. And because that's where you can configure it and groom it to how you want it, keeping your future in mind. And if that is unclear, to your point, things are becoming a commodity. Like someone building an agent tomorrow is just and feature inside Claude, and everyone has it. So till you do not have that, buying may be a better strategy at that point, where you can test out different things, see what's working for you, and then you can make that educated decision.
Thank you. Fernando, I'm going to come to you. You guys have made the decision to build. You have a team of developers that are offshore. You've done a great job. You've obviously, the success that you've seen as an organization speaks for itself, and in the valuations you get. And so as it relates to build versus buy, specific to AI, right? Where's your head? Will you ever be Ron's customer or not?
So specifically to AI, right? Because there's a lot on build versus buy, especially in our case. But in 30 seconds, right? You should never take that decision lightly. It is expensive. It is basically, it's not your core business, right? So having to maintain a software development team because you decided to create a custom solution when you're in the hospitality business, right, is not something that should be taken lightly. In our case, it made total sense just because of the complexity of our business, right? We have everything from restaurants to spas to golf to to be able to support that and give the members the member experience that we wanted them to have. We needed to go that way. And we are also large enough to be able to accommodate that cost. At the end of the day, cost, it made total sense. We're actually saving a lot of money by doing it that way. But that's very unique to us. I wouldn't say that. Go ahead and buy. AI specifically I don't think it's a on or off, right? Buy or build. It's just where on that stack you want to be. So do you want to create our own foundational model? Probably not. Do you want to augment that model with something very specific to us? And do you want to have a team? Do you want to own the data? So I think it really depends how much of the process you want to own and control and not depend on a vendor and a vendor roadmap, right? So if you have very specific needs, what do? Do you wait for your vendor to catch up to your needs, or is it worth for you to just go ahead and do it yourself? So I think it's a scale there. It's not a on and off.
That makes a lot of sense. All right, so I want to be sensitive to time. Again, if you have a question, please put it in the chat, and Ron Benamor will pose it to the person that you're asking, and we'll go from there. I do want to mention that this October, we're going to sort of keep this conversation and many others going at the Fitness Technology Summit, October 12th to the 14th in DC. We'd love to have you come, and Ron's going to put a link in our chat here. If you're inclined to come, this is a special early bird and by the way, we're going to have lots of competitors to AltaDX in the room, people that are building AI solutions and AI products. And we look forward to continuing this discussion with our competitors in the room as well, because I think at the end of the day, based on some of the things I've heard today, this is clearly technology that's going to move the needle, not just for an individual company or group, but potentially put us down a path to finally solve, perhaps, I'm still being very non-committal to this, but perhaps solve this attrition problem that our industry suffers from by maybe allowing, look, I think the challenge we have as organizations is that we don't have people who are focused on attrition, right? And that's not their core job. And maybe AI allows that level of scalability. So let me end with this question to each of you. And if any of you, by the way, are interested in seeing the OMAP product in action, by all means, reach out to myself on LinkedIn or to Ron Benamor. We'll follow up accordingly after this webinar. But here's the final question that I'm curious to ask. This is for Fernando and Jason specifically, and then Harshil, I have a follow-on for you that'll give you a chance to chime in. As you think about the next year, maybe even the next quarter, I don't know, what business decision, AI-based business decision, are you going to be making? And tell us what you expect to be true about it a year from now. So I'll just throw one out as an example. You guys talked about staff and creating a better staff experience. You're obviously doing that so that your retention of staff potentially lasts longer, your staff sort of happiness and satisfaction is better, scores, et cetera. So we talked about that already, but let's talk about one AI decision and the outcome that you expect. And we're going to hold you to this. We'll have a follow-on a year from now and see if you've succeeded. This is being recorded. Fernando, you go first.
I actually have two. One is a prediction. The other you can hold me to. And of course, I'm sure we will be wrong on all of them next week, not next year. My one is regarding, since we do have internal software development, my prediction there is that the team will not get smaller. You actually get larger. Right, the job is changing. Yes, writing code becomes a commodity, but that was never the job. The job is to solve problems as a developer. So the tools are changing, the development life cycle is changing. So it's going to be a new universe. But how many people in the vendors now, right, in the software industry can say that their backlog is empty, right? So I think until I can get to a point where AI helped me so much and helped the team so much, then now I say, oh, I have nothing else to add to my software systems. Well, then you can rethink team size. But I don't think that will ever happen. I think what AI would do is just accelerate the amount of things that we can deliver, because there will always be more things to be delivered. So it's the speed, the amount, and I think the team will grow instead of shrink. So that was one. In terms of product itself, what I think we'll get to is we're talking about customer service agents now, or a mock member agent. What we really want is to get to a point where each of our members have their own personal agent, but much beyond what a Siri or something like that. What I see, and that may be a little pie in the sky right now, but I want if I'm a member, right, I want my agent to represent me. My agent will know everything about me, of course, with all the data privacy and governance and all that, but the agent will know everything about me. If that's true to all my members, now I want those agents to talk to each other and start solving problems on our behalf. I want the agents to be proactive, booking my tennis court on Tuesday. But the agents already communicated with each other. So my agent know that my friend is free that Tuesday at that time and all that. And the agents at that point, like happens with code today, where the agents, can I proceed? Can I proceed? Right? Where do you just put that gate? But that gate should go way farther down the line. So let the agents talk, let the agents take care of all that stuff, and just let me know when is my next PT appointment or booking with a friend. And if the agent doesn't get it right, I'll tell the agent, and next time the agent will be smarter. So that's where I think we're going to go.
That's awesome. I love that. Jason, same question to you.
Yeah, super agency or agents of agents is going to be kind of the big shift. Harshil and I have a lot of conversations about that because we have an agent for this and an agent for that, an agent for this in order to keep that walled garden mentality, but allowing them to talk. So I'm going to steal what Fernando did and kind of give you one prediction and how it's going to impact our business, one of each. Because my prediction is that that AI solutions are dramatically going to change how we do CRM. It's going to make us rethink all of these platforms that we have completely with what we do with CRM and completely change that. It's already starting with lead nurture. If I look at the AI projects that I have, like I said, my AI strategy has 9 tiers, and that's just because it's touching attrition and it's touching lead nurture and it's touching data analysis and business intelligence and CRM and even making HQ and creative teams more effective in my back office system. So all of that is what we're touching, but CRM is going to be the most disrupted because all of these platforms are very much built around about making people go in and go do something, and the agents do that for you. So if you're and the CRM platforms are not the most AI forward solutions. They're not big enough, right? All of the ones that are out there are relatively small user development shops that are out there. But if you're building it yourself, I mean, that's really the other problem is, I have very strong opinions on what you should build versus what you should buy. I agree with Fernando. It's a mixed bag, especially as vibe coding becomes more of a thing. We should only build what is competitive differentiating for us. We should, like, I'm never going to build my own POS because I don't want to deal with, Canada and Quebec and UAE. And as I branch out, my business is different. I've got to think about all of those things and constantly maintaining while not being in the software business. We run gems, right? But we also have a large activewear business, a large nutrition business, a large digital agency. So all of those things are part of my world. I can't build every single one of those pieces of software, no matter what AI vibe coding allows me to do. So I think the real key for us is that CRM is going to see the biggest change, whether it's that lead nurture component, that attrition, keeping them warm, red hat type component, how we manage CDP and process all of those data and interactions, how we segment, how we hyper personalize, all of that stuff that loyalty teaches us that the other industries are doing well, that we need to do a better job of. AI is going to empower, enable that, and that's going to make the legacy CRMs that we have in our industry obsolete very quickly.
Awesome. That's great. I totally agree with you. Harshil, I'm going to end with you, and then we're going to go to Ron I know there's some questions that came in. You've talked a little bit, if you can keep it under a minute, that'd be great. You talked about build your own agent. That's something that you're working on with your team. You want to talk a little bit about what that is?
Sure. So what we're going to do in Q3 is we've amassed a lot of data. It's something that Fernando touched upon and Jason touched upon, you touched upon, is how do you teach agents your culture? How do you teach agents to represent yourself? How do you teach agents to be the representative of the organization for the member? So one of the things as part of your build your own agent strategy, what we are doing is building a layer of SLM, a small language model, which is going to allow operators to start spinning up small micro agents tuned to the organization, how they want it. We are not going to go away from the LLMs because we cannot compete with that power. That's going to be used for conversations, but the small language model is going to allow to infuse your culture, your business, your data, your outcomes that we've seen, and then spin up smaller agents that someone can use without having the intervention of a vendor or an implementation team. They can do it on their own.
Thank you for that. All right, Ron, you're going to put the link for the audience to register for Tech Summit if they're inclined to come to DC October 12th to the 14th. I know there's a bunch of questions that have come in for the panelists. I'll let you read those out and distribute them accordingly to the appropriate.
Yeah, and just on the Tech Summit, I shared the second link as the one to use, so please use that one. First question is from Mike Glickman. There's a lot of information obviously out there on AI. He's asking, where should you start in terms of implementing AI if you were an operator?
Jason, you want to go first on that one, and Fernando chime in?
I think the key for starting with AI is understanding where your data is and knowing what that strategy is. If your data platform, all of your member data exists in your member management system, and you didn't build it yourself, then where the best conversation is to start is with MindBody or ABC Fitness or Mariana Tech, and have the conversation with them, because the biggest bang for your buck is going to be unlocking that. To allow these other partnerships to happen. If your partners are there, most of them have an API layer that is going to allow you to do that. But unlocking your member data is step zero in everything that we have to do, because you have to have, even for whether it's your LLMs, whether it's OMAP, whether you're going to go even connect your Claude environment. I think I was on with ABC Fitness, and they have started allowing a native Claude interaction with their POS. That's fantastic. Those are the APIs you need. That's what MindBody provides us, as a full API layer, and that's why we're able to connect directly to MindBody from OMAP. So all of those things are a big deal. That's what I would start with, is having conversations with vendors, big in the POS side and small in the startup side, because that's where your best ideas are happening. They're all 12% of a solution. They don't know everything about it, but man, the most inventive stuff is coming out of other industries into ours. And those small startups have some really cool ideas. Just be prepared, if you're going to invest alongside them, to pay the upfront cost, because most of it's not fully ready for prime time yet.
Fernando, anything to add to that?
I'll compliment, just don't, once you have that step, you know the data, you know your partners, don't go at it alone. Talk to someone like Al, right? Talk to people that are doing that day in, day out. So jumpstart, don't just waste time just trying to do it alone.
Yeah.
Ron, any other questions?
Yeah, there's two more questions. So this one's from Tom Casper at Wisconsin Athletic Clubs. As a strong problem solver with a weak technology background, what are the best ways to learn, use, become exposed to how I can leverage AI and LLM specifically to help me? So,
Today, what I would tell you is get into Claude. Get into Claude and ask it that question. Right. I mean, I haven't coded in 10 years. Last thing I was doing things was in Objective-C on iPads, and I'm coding again. Right. It's empowering me, even as a technical leader who's lost all my tech skills because it moved beyond me, to be able to code in ways that I can go back and process. And I think the biggest thing that I've seen, we did a huge, about 60 days ago, we did a huge, the way I approach it, I'd love to kind of share this with you guys, because I learned it way back in the Gmail days when we were doing Gmail in corporate. We created a small group of early adopters and made it very exclusive. And they became the Claude group, and they talked and shared knowledge, and they talked about where they were were they using it agentically, or were they just using it generatively? And then when I blew it up 30 days later, they became my evangelists. They adopted it more quickly. It was less about beating them over the head with usage and tokens credits, and making it more of a exclusive club. And I've seen people get 30, 40, 70, 80% more efficient in their work. They'll never write another job description. They'll never build another, simple web page. So we're taking away, I'm not even good at PowerPoint anymore. Claude's doing all my slides for me. That saves me days a month.
I'm 100% with Jason.
Harshil, do you have any suggestions on where someone should get started that's non-technical?
I think it's understanding the kind of problem you're trying to solve, taking some of the data, and to what Jason and Fernando said, just feed it to Claude, feed it to ChatGPT, feed it to your flavor of the LLM that you like, and ask it to help you solve it. It will help you come up with ideas that you wouldn't have thought of. And that's a small step which will start sparking other bubbles in terms of, this is what I can do, this is what I can do. And then that starts growing into a broader AI strategy that someone can learn to implement.
Tell it what it can be for you as a marketing analyst for my brand, as a technical services analyst for my brand. Answer these questions for me, and answer them in such a way that I can understand them, on a 6th grade level in crayon. However it is that you need to hear it, it will do that for you.
Okay, thank you. Ron, you said you had one more, maybe two more?
There is one more question, so I'll pose it to the panelists, but maybe I can answer it. Can you touch base on the collections agent?
I mean, I can sort of opine on that, because I think it's not just about collections. This is sort of, again, how you can sort of increase staff productivity. Obviously, collections and dispute management with credit card chargebacks, those are all areas where there's a lot of overhead from a staff perspective. Oftentimes, you might be paying a vendor, your member management system, to handle your collections, your rebill attempts, et cetera. The collections agent, and Herschel, you should keep me honest here, but the collection agent allows you to create a cadence after a decline over a period of time, and maybe it's 30, 45, 60 days, whatever it is, with sort of messages that get perhaps more aggressive over time in terms of the collection process. Like, day 2, they may have declined because they had a bad expiration date. You don't want to threaten them with legal action. But day 60, you may say, hey, we're going to be sending this to collections if you don't pay it. Or some people just write it off, whatever. But the collections agents does that. And I think there's an entire body of work around payments and AI that we could probably spend another hour talking about. But something like a chargeback, a lot of clubs don't even bother responding to them anymore. But an agent can actually go in and can pull their visit history, purchase history, their contract, create a cover letter, which many people don't do, and send that in an automated way out to the bank, the issuing bank that is managing the chargeback. And you will see more collections, and you will see more wins. There's no question about it. Herschel, anything to add there?
We're seeing thousands of dollars that we are collecting month to a month by just simply automating a process.
And I will tell you that we didn't talk about it again, probably on another hour, on voice versus chat versus, and there's a whole configuration conversation that you can have around this. The technology is getting better every day. There's more adoption, obviously, from people. I love some of the things you shared about this is a relationship business. Our old friend, Fernando Riquero, Jason, I know you met Rick also. He always used to say, this is a relationship business at the end of the day. He fought joining online, which he and I disagreed on for years. But ultimately, I think this is a relationship business, and you want to be able to speak to somebody. And that option and making sure it's readily available is critical. All right, we've got 2 minutes. Fernando, thank you so much for joining. I know you guys are busy. Jason, thank you for overcoming the tech challenges and joining and not giving up on us. And Herschel, we've got a lot to talk about in terms of our product roadmap after this meeting. So I appreciate you all coming. Thank you so much. Ron, if there's anything else, I'll let you see us out.
Good. Thank you guys for joining, and thanks everyone for attending.
Everyone,
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.